the way we got to our bull price target and our bull price goal, the chances of that happening have gone up a lot with the ETF, and $1.5 million in 2030, let's go. There are three main things we think will happen so that Bitcoin really does become half the size of the gold ETFs. Cathie Wood, CEO of ARK Invest, talks about Bitcoin's ability to change things in this episode of Bitcoin Brainstorm Fireside Chat. She talks about Bitcoin's role as a free currency system that could change the way global finance works by solving economic problems. Bitcoin trades at $70,000 at the time of this recording. It has gone down 1% in the last 24 hours, but has gone up 12.4% in the last 30 days. In particular, there has been a 19.71% rise in the past 24 hours. Wood talks about what she learned from her recent trip to El Salvador, where she saw Bitcoin being used in the business and in educational programs. She stresses how important it is to teach young people about this technology so that they can be economically independent in the future. Wood gives useful reasons for her belief that Bitcoin will change the way global finance works by focusing on Bitcoin's rise as a new asset class, its use in developing countries, and its ability to protect against currency devaluation. Listen in to hear more from Cathie Wood as she talks about what she has learned and how she thinks Bitcoin could change the world of finance. Investing in gold. That's half that size. And the interesting fact is that most of the 13F files for the first quarter were from hedge funds. David told me this the other day. 10 hedge funds put money into the new Bitcoin ETFs for every one that put money into a gold ETF or gold. That's pretty big. Okay, so that's what we first thought. The second one is about the new markets. When you look at the world's money supply without the big four, you might not want to. However, let's take money out of the US, Europe, the UK, and Japan. If you think that 10% of the rest of the money supply is now being used for Bitcoin, then it is really the money supply. Okay, it might be through the government as well. There's a chance it could be through company funds. It could be people trying to keep themselves safe from, say, losing their money and ability to buy things. We think that Bitcoin only gets 10% of that leftover money. In that case, I would say these are conservative beliefs. Okay, the third is the institutional. These are the main ones. There are more, such things as payments and so on. But because of the participation of institutions, we think that 6.5% of all financial assets are set aside for Bitcoin. When you talk about global asset allocation, this does include gold, real estate, commodities, and all of that, but only 6%. We got that number by, making the Sharpe ratio as big as it can be. You get the most return for each unit of risk. And, fluctuation isn't really taken into account in that study. Volatility is something you should really care about, so you should probably put away 2.6%, but 6% is better. It's interesting. What do you think is the death knell for a developing market? I think President Buchel is very smart. It's when they run out of savings, like when they lose money in capital flight. It would be a great hedge if these rising markets added Bitcoin to their balance sheets and it went up in value while their own currency fell. They are probably going to put more money into it over time because they know this is a risk. And take a look at how Bitcoin has been moving. In terms of the dollar or gold, look at what the direction of most fiat currencies has been. And even the dollar compared to gold has been a bad bet ever since the Federal Reserve was created. That's why I think developing markets will begin, but the people who live in those markets need this insurance. Also, you need it. I used to say this before I met KG. I used to say that all you need is a smartphone and someone to connect to the internet. Also, you have your insurance. I guess you can now buy Bitcoin with something other than a normal SIM card. You are able to get to Bitcoin. It's great that I meet people who are making this happen. The more sure I am of it. 2019, I got to meet some great core workers at a hackathon in Uruguay. I also met very young devs, as well as more experienced ones. Both the young and the experienced seem to love financial theory as much as I do. And that made me feel better about myself. People are really making this environment, which is the first global digital decentralized rules-based critical monetary system ever. That is a huge thought. That's what Art said at the time. I've been waiting for this. It's this, but it's also a tool and a new type of asset. Talk about any other cryptocurrency and it will still be there. No one else has those 3 Bitcoins. It's very exciting that Bitcoin is the world money system. That's the belief part of it. But from an inspirational point of view, this is going to change people's lives. And that's what keeps me so excited about it. As for President Buchel and his brother Ibrahim, I met him too. I would say they are a very, very important pair when it comes to Bitcoin, AI, economic reform, and education reform. And he's going to do it. He is going to be sworn in for the second time on June 1st. This week he's been busy. In El Salvador, the GDP is only $30 billion. It takes $450 a month to live there for most people. Okay, from that low point, Art Laffer was also with me, and David Puel, who was my coworker back then. Where is David? He's way back there. El Salvador was where we were. And from that smaller base, I really believe that he put all of them in jail because he was so focused on getting his country out of years of civil war and then gang wars that followed. From such a low start, he can now get down to business. I'm sure that he will grow GDP by 10 times during his 5-year term because of these 4 factors. Also, you should know that El Salvador's currency was tied to the dollar. You can see a peso. I don't remember what the money is, but it was already tied to the dollar. That was good for them. But he was so sure that Bitcoin would change El Salvador and make it a real oasis in Latin America. He's putting in work, and Art Laffer will see that this happens. He has already made some great tax cuts. No big letters. In other words, is anyone interested in Bitcoin? Okay, so Mark Seal is living in El Salvador right now, right? He's changed. He's a blockchain or Bitcoin. But the reward system he's setting up will make that area a haven for Bitcoin and AI. And those are the 2 biggest and most important sites for innovation ever. He's going to make history. Well, you should get them involved with innovations that will shake things up and put them on the right side of change. That's the most important thing you can do as a parent to help your child learn. And because I care so much about this, we began 3 or 4 years ago. The new name for it is ARC Education Initiative. ARC's study made sense for her age. That's why Florida had something to show when it came to schools, since it had one of the worst records in the country. It's really coming up now, because it's ready to try new things. We are definitely not part of the group. We went to the public school. This is how the public schools work. 100 and will be all the way through middle school. That means your girl will understand it all through middle school. Yes. We want to take them from toddlers to high school. But getting young people excited, especially those in middle school, which is a really important time for them. A lot of young people are at a big crossroads right now. Of course, it looks like there are a lot of social events going on. But they look up to you. I'll also tell you a short story. If I were still living in Connecticut at the time, we went to a place called Jericho Partnership during COVID. He told them, you know what? I'm going to lose these young people. They come from homes with very little money and tough situations. They can't come in now, so I'll lose them. Are you going to do something? Could you help me? So we held 2 6-part workshops. One was about drones, and the other was about 3D printing and drones. So when the 6-part course was over, I could tell these young people,